Apple mentioned a feature in their Scary Fast event about a MacBook that they've never mentioned before.
Space Black. It's a gorgeous, dark aluminum finish. Not only that, we're using a breakthrough chemistry that forms an anodization seal that greatly reduces fingerprints.
But just how fingerprint resistant is this new dark aluminum finish with a breakthrough chemistry that forms an anodization seal?
Speak English, Doc. We ain't scientists.
Now, I'm not the smartest guy to analyze this here peculiar, but I think I've got a pretty good test for it. Before I get into the fingerprints of this machine, I think it's fair I compare this thing apples to apples. So what I've got here is an M2 MacBook Air in Midnight, and you can see it's probably the other most fingerprint-prone finish Apple has. Now, I don't think they said the same thing about this laptop as they did with that laptop. So we should be able to expect that this should show more fingerprints than that. Anyways, let's get to this test. Okay, so how am I gonna run this test? Great question that I ask myself. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you the laptops in their current state. I've been using them for about a week and a half, maybe two. I'm gonna show you the current grub. I'm gonna completely clean the grub, and then I'm gonna generate the grub. Now the hard part's generating the grub, and how am I gonna do that? I'm gonna turn the heat on, which it's already on, it's getting stuffy in here, and then I'm gonna sit on my hand until it falls asleep. Then it'll feel like someone else is filming this video. I'm kidding. I'm gonna sit on my hand until it gets clammy and builds up a good sweat. You know, that kind of sweat and clamminess that you get whenever you've let your entire team down and now they're all knocked. And so it's you versus two people who are one hit. You have a shotgun and you still manage to panic and miss 100% of your shots. That kind of clammy. So once I've got the heat going and I've got the clam building, I'll be back with the hands of a 4-year-old who's asking if you got any games on your phone that they can play. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so this is where we're currently at here. You can kind of see we got a little bit of fingerprints going. But you can notice it's not just the lighting. The M3 finish actually is kind of not showing fingerprints, and I would argue that I've been using that device more than I've been using my M2 because it's new, right? And people like using their new things before they like using their old things. That's kind of obvious. Let me get this lighting a little bit better on the M3 so that you can kind of see. It has fingerprints, it's just not so apparent. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna clean these machines and get us a nice clean slate. Be right back. Okay, so I got to sitting on my hand thinking about it, and yes, my hand is very sweaty and it's very grubby, but I was sitting on my hand and I looked over at the counter and I saw this. That says Xbox, and Xboxes are for people who play video games, but you know what else is for people who play video games? Apparently this MacBook's for people who play video games now. So I figured, why not test the finish for gamers, right? And that test would include pizza and Doritos. So my left hand looks gross, but wait till you see what my right hand looks like. Let me show you. Oh man, I gotcha. Huh, now you have to subscribe. Hey, I don't make the rules, I just make the video here, guys. But you know the rules. If you saw that just now, you're gonna have to subscribe. You definitely need to at least like it. But anyways, this is how I plan on doing it, and I'm not gonna touch the laptops because my hands are pretty gross right now. But all right, this will be the control. This will be the sweat. This will be the Dorito. This will be the pizza. Same thing over here. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started here. All right, so here's my clammy hand. Trust me, it's very clammy. Don't worry, I'll do another video here in a minute. I'm gonna get the grease all over it here. This hand was clean, it was just a little sweaty. We'll take a better video later. All right, let's get on with the Doritos. This kind of pains me to do. I'm very sorry, laptop. Okay, that's getting a little worse, for sure. There ain't no hiding that one. Really get a good rub in there. All right, now I only had 2 hands, so I'm gonna take this greasy hand, I'm gonna take this grubby hand, and I'm just gonna eat a slice of pizza. Well, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Anyways, my fingers are gross, and I'm gonna try and control this a little bit because I think a lot of it's gonna rub off on whatever laptop I touch first. So I'm just gonna do my index finger. Oh my God, it's dripping. I'm just gonna do one of these, right? And then I'm gonna take my middle finger over here, do one of those. Okay, it slid better on that one, so yeah, it sticks on that a lot better. So anyways, we're gonna let this settle. I'm gonna wash my hands, I feel disgusting. And then we'll take a look at the final results. All right, so back with the results here. Washed my hands. I'm gonna try and do my best to kind of glance over everything. Let's start with the control. You can see on the Space Black, between fingerprint, which is normal, fingerprint and normal, we're looking all right. I mean, there's barely any fingerprints. And honestly, from my personal usage, anecdotally, I've kind of experienced a lot less visibility of the fingerprints. This kind of confirms what I've been thinking the whole entire time. Let's look at the control on the Midnight Air. Okay. So it's clean. And I think, honestly, I gave the Midnight color a little bit more of a fair shake because I was touching the Space Black laptop first with the same hand. I mean, I only have 2 hands. What can I do? So you can kind of see between the two, getting a little bit more angle here. So let's see if I can kind of break out this angle a little bit. Yeah, you can see those fingerprints pretty clearly. Sorry, I've got my light source kind of over what I needed here. But anyways, now let's take a look at the Doritos, which I think, honestly, I went a little too hard on the Doritos. I guess there's a lot of oils in the Doritos. I assume they're cooked in fat, they're fried, so that makes sense. Also, I ate a lot of Doritos, but we'll just blame it on how Doritos are made and not the fact that I ate a bunch of them. And then we go to the, yeah. So you can almost just see the oils more than you can actually see the Doritos texture. That's the thing, is there's actual seasoning on the Space Black now, but I think maybe I got most of the seasoning on the Space Black. Maybe the camera's not going to show this too well. But you can almost see it's kind of like a matte grease. So I think it's a pretty rough case for it, but you're getting a lot more reflection off of the M2 Air. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, is that greases and oils on the Space Black edition, or on the Space Black finish, are kind of matte. Despite what you do, they're kind of matte in finish, which might actually make fingerprints not show up as much. They're kind of onto something. And then of course we got the pizza grease. It's just straight up grease. It's awful slick. And sure enough, on the Space Black, get this light over here, it's more of a matte texture. I think Apple wasn't lying that this actually is a different kind of finish. And it is fancy, and it actually prevents fingerprints. And in my day-to-day usage, that was my perception, but I thought, you know what? I'm just being a fanboy because I just bought this device. That is not the case. I'm gonna clean these things up. I'll let you know if anything happens. All right, so both laptops cleaned up really well. It's a pretty simple process. Back to normal. No Macs were hurt in the making of this video. At least I don't think so. I don't recommend cleaning the Mac like I showed you guys. Maybe I showed you the video, maybe I didn't. I don't recommend spraying any liquids directly on these devices like I did. I'm different than you, so don't do that. Back to the rest of the video. See ya. All right, so the finish on the M3 Pro Space Black, it's pretty good. Apple wasn't lying. Finish is definitely different than any other finish that they've had before. And the Space Black looks good. And I don't know if the camera really picked it up, but it was basically making any kind of oily, reflective texture like grease, oil, grime, whatever it is. It's making it almost matte in its finish. I think the camera might not have collected that data. You know, it's kind of hard with all the lighting and trying to really get a decent glare off of this thing. But in real life, it looked better on the Space Black. And honestly, I really gave the Space Black a harder test than the M2 because I was touching it first. I noticed I cleaned up a lot more Cool Ranch seasoning off the Space Black than I did on the M2. Anyways, it's a great finish and it's a good looking laptop. So if you like the video, please like. If you like me, click subscribe. If you have any other tests or anything wrong with what I did, or you want me to do it again in any other way, please leave me a comment. Or if you think this is interesting content, let me know. I would like to hear that feedback. But also, if you saw what I think you saw earlier in this video, which if you're here, you probably did, I think you know that you owe me. And if anything, your subscription would be a blessing, and I would really appreciate that. Anyways, that's enough for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.